Hello friends! Today we are gonna design this video sharing app using React and styled components. This is the homepage. When I click on one of these video cards, we'll see this video, its comments and recommendations. And after that, we will design this beautiful login page. And also we are gonna create a dark mode functionality, and you will see how easy to use different themes using styled components. If you are a React developer, it's really important to learn styled components. It makes everything much easier. And in the next video, we are gonna create a backend server and we will fetch all these data from a DB. We will be able to log in, upload a new content, write a comment and like the video. Let me know which backend technologies you want to see for this app in the next tutorial, and also write which uploading service you want to use. I'm gonna check your comments and decide. Okay, if you are ready, let's get started. Okay, I created new folder here, and inside this folder I'm gonna create my React app. To do that, of course, you can write here npx create React app, but instead of this, I'm gonna use my GitHub repository and I'm gonna choose here React Mini. And as you can see, it's React app, but we don't have here unnecessary files. So using this branch will be much easier. So I will come here and copy this link. And I will say git clone. We are gonna clone only single branch. So I will say single branch and my branch name, which is React Mini, and my link here. And finally, I want to download everything in this folder, so I will say dot and enter. As you can see, all those files here, but we don't have our libraries. Let's come here. By the way, let's change this name, video app, and I want to install my libraries. So I will say yarn, or if you are using npm, you can say npm install, and after that it's gonna install all those libraries. Okay, it's ready. What else we are gonna need? We are gonna need styled components and also React router DOM. So I will say React router DOM, and they are here. Okay, let's start our application. I will say yarn start or npm start. Okay, it's ready. As you can see, just hello world. So what we are gonna create? I'm gonna go to homepage again. Firstly, I'm gonna separate this page. First one will be this left menu here, and the second part will be this navbar and this content part. So let's create a container which includes this menu and this content. I'm gonna close here and I will come here. Let's create our first styled components. So I will say const container is gonna be styled. It's gonna be a div. And we are gonna write our CSS properties here. But before, let's change this div. We are not gonna use HTML anymore. It's gonna be container. Of course, we are using HTML, but we are using styled components. And inside we are gonna have a menu. It's gonna be menu and the main part, which includes our navbar and content. So let's create our menu. I'm gonna come here. I will say components, and our first component will be menu JS or JSX. Let's create our React function. Okay, we are gonna use this component here. Let's delete this. And as you can see, it's here. Remember, this main part includes two parts. So I'm gonna come here and create one more container. Let's say main style div, and I'm gonna write it here. And inside we are gonna have navbar. Let's create navbar JSX. Okay, we can use it right now. I'm gonna import, and finally our content. Let's check. As you can see, this content includes all these video cards. So basically, I'm gonna create here a wrapper, and this wrapper will include all those cards. Let's duplicate this, and it's gonna be wrapper. And I'm gonna write it here. Like that. Actually, let's write it like this, and inside video cards. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So let's separate our container first. Menu will be here, and this main container will be here. Basically, it's gonna be horizontal. To do that, I'm gonna come here and say display flex. As you can see, it's horizontal right now. Let's give some width for this menu and main div. So I will say const container start components, and it's gonna be flex1. Of course, I'm gonna change this container. It's gonna be our style components. Basically, I said this menu will be 1 unit, and my main container here will be 7 times bigger than that menu. So if I say flex 7, as you can see, it's 1 unit, and this main div is 7 units. It's that easy. Let's give a background color for this menu, so it's gonna be easier to see. I will say background color is gonna be this dark color. Like that. Of course, it's gonna be full screen, so I will say height 100 VH. Like that. And text color will be white. Like this. Of course, for all those items, I'm gonna give some padding. To do that, I'm gonna create one more container here. Let's say wrapper. And inside this wrapper, I'm gonna put all those items. Actually, I'm gonna duplicate this, and it's gonna be wrapper. And I'm gonna give padding here. From top and bottom, from left and right. Of course, you can use RAM also, but I'm using pixels, as you wish. So I will say wrapper and inside items. Like that. Perfect. Let's create our logo. To do that, I'm gonna create here new folder, and it's gonna be images. And I'm gonna move my logo here. As you can see, we are gonna use it. I'm gonna create one more div, and it's gonna be logo. Let's delete here, and it's gonna be display flex again. That because, as you can see, it's gonna include this logo and also this text. So basically it's gonna be horizontal, and I'm gonna center them vertically. To do that, I will say align item center, and I'm gonna give some gap between them. Let's say 5 pixels. I'm gonna create my image here. Const image styled dot image. By the way, typo here. I'm gonna open my backticks, and its height will be 25 pixels. Let's write it here. Logo, and inside image. Oops. It's like that. And Lama Dev. By the way, I'm gonna close this sidebar. Okay. And for source, I'm gonna use my image. To do that, I will come here and I will say import Lama Dev from image folder and logo.png. So let's use this image component here. Like that. And let's see. Okay, as you can see, it's here. But it can be a little bit thicker. So I will say font weight bold. And I'm gonna give margin bottom. That because it's gonna be a space here between this logo and other items. And font size will be 14 pixels. Actually, all items will be same. So I'm gonna write it here. So let's create our items. We are gonna have a container here, and it's gonna include this icon and a text here. All those items will be the same. I'll say const item style div display flex, align item center and gap between them 20 pixels, and cursor will be pointer. Let's create. After this logo I will say item home. Of course we don't have icon yet. Okay, it's here. So let's create our icon. To do that we are going to be using material icons. As you can see, I will write here home and we are going to be using this one. Of course, to do that we are going to need this library. I'm going to create one more terminal here and I will say yarn add or npm install MUI icons material. But it's not enough, we should also install MUI. To do that I'm going to go to installation and I'm going to import them. Let's copy this one like that, and after that we will be able to use this icon. Let's copy this. I'm gonna paste here. Like that. Let's see. Okay, as you can see it's here. So I'm gonna create other items also, like explore, subscription and others. Of course I'm not gonna waste your time, I'm gonna speed up this part and after that we can continue. Okay, it's ready as you can see, and right now I wanna give some space between those items. To do that I'm gonna give some padding. Let's say padding from top and bottom is gonna be 7.5. From left and right is gonna be 0. Like that. And also I'm gonna give some horizontal rule here. Let's see. As you can see, those lines, we are gonna use them. And after that we are gonna create this part. I will say const hr styled hr, and I'm gonna give some margin because we are gonna separate our items from top and bottom, left and right. And after that I'm gonna change its color 0.5 pixels, solid, and this color. Let's use it. Let's see, after subscription, history and live. History and here. Like that. Perfect. So let's create this login part. We are gonna add this text and after we are gonna create this button. So let's say const login is gonna be our container. Basically it's gonna be a div and inside we are gonna have button. Let's create, I will say login container and inside this text and also our button, and inside this button is gonna be sign in and one more HR here after this login. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So let's give some style for this button. I'm gonna give some padding 5 and 15 from left and right is gonna be bigger, and I'm gonna delete background color. It's gonna be transparent, but I'm gonna give border 1 pixel, solid, and this blue color, and also text color will be the same like that, and I will give border radius 3 pixels and font weight will be 500 like that. Let's give some space. Margin top will be 10 pixels. Also cursor pointer. Okay, nice. Let's see. Oh, by the way, there is icon here. I forgot that. Let's check here. Okay, I didn't use it. before this sign in text, I'm gonna paste it like that. But as you can see, it's not centered and there is no space between them. So I will say display flex again, align item center, and gap will be 5. Like that. Okay, awesome. By the way, its position will be sticky. That because let's come here and inside this wrapper, I'm gonna say h1 tag and test, and I'm gonna duplicate this. Okay, as you can see, when I scroll on this page, it stays here. To prevent this, its position will be sticky. Let's come here for this container, menu container, position sticky, and its position will be top 0. So it's gonna stay on top 0 all the time. Let's move. As you can see, it's not changing. Perfect. So we finished our menu. Let's create our navbar. But before that, let me show you how you can apply light mode feature. For example, for this main container, let's come here. I'm gonna say background color 18, this darker color, like that. And when I click this button, this menu will be white, those texts will be black, and this background color will be white but a little bit darker. If you are using styled components, it's really easy to do that. Let me show you. Firstly, I'm gonna create a theme file here. Let's create new folder. I will say utils, and inside I will say theme.js. And I'm gonna create here dark mode and light mode. I will say export const, let's say dark theme. You are gonna understand better right now. And inside I'm gonna write my color codes. For example, for this main background, let's say BG. And remember, it was 18, like that. And for this one, I will say background, but lighter one. And remember, it was 20, 20, 20. And for text, for all texts, as you can see, it's white. I will say white. And also, it's gonna be text soft, and it's gonna be this color. And finally, for those lines, and in the future we are gonna use it somewhere else, let's say soft color, just soft, and it's gonna be this color. So I'm gonna do the same thing for light mode, and I'm gonna change my colors. Let's say light theme. Remember, it's our main color here. It's gonna be white but a little bit darker, like that. You are gonna see better when we apply this. And it's gonna be white. It's gonna be our menu color. In this case, we are gonna change those texts. It's gonna be black, a little bit softer, like that. And finally, this color. Okay, but how we are gonna use them? I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna create styled components theme provider. I will say theme provider. As you can see, it comes from styled components, and I'm gonna wrap my application with this provider. Oops, those H1s. Okay, like that. And right now, I'm gonna give here which theme I'm gonna use. I will say theme is gonna be either this dark mode, this dark theme, or light theme. So let's say dark theme. As you can see, it's from our file. I'm gonna apply, and right now I'm gonna go to menu. Instead of this color, I'm gonna say $, and inside theme and theme.bg, which we have created here. Let's see, I'm gonna save, and as you can see, nothing has changed. But if I come here and say it's not dark theme anymore, it's gonna be light theme, like that. I'm gonna save, and as you can see, this time it's white. It's that easy. So let's change others. I'm gonna copy here. So it's not gonna be white anymore. It's gonna be team.texts. It was texts or text. Okay, text. And let's check others. As you can see, HR, it's this color. When it's in the light theme, it's gonna be this color. Let's try. I will say soft. Let's see. As you can see, perfect. But how we are gonna apply our function here? Of course, you can use React Context API, but we don't need that because we are gonna change our color in only this component, and we already have theme here. We are not gonna change any style. So basically, I can create here use state, and I can decide which theme I want to use. I will say const dark mode, set dark mode. It's gonna be use state. I'm gonna import, and at the beginning it's gonna be true. If you want to, you can make it light mode by default, but I prefer dark mode, so it's gonna be true. So I'm gonna come here and say, if it's dark mode, use dark theme. If it's not, use light theme. It's that easy. Let's see. As you can see, it's dark right now. And only thing I should do is to change this dark mode inside my menu. So I'm gonna copy this and paste as a prop. And also I'm gonna send this dark mode. Let's take them as a prop. Where is our function? Here. Dark mode and set dark mode. So I'm gonna come here. Remember, it's our button here. I'm gonna apply onClick event. I will say onClick, and I'm gonna set my dark mode again. I will say set dark mode, and it's gonna be the opposite of dark mode. Remember, it was true, so when we click this, it's gonna be false. When we click again, it's gonna be true. Let's try. It's dark, I'm clicking. As you can see, it's that easy. So I can do the same thing for this wrapper, for this main container. Remember, it's here. I'm gonna delete this and I will say theme.bg. Like that. I'm clicking. Perfect. As you can see, nothing complex. Okay, awesome. By the way, I forgot this text here. I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna create a title here. I will say const title styled, let's say h2 tag, and inside I will say font size 14, font weight will be 500, and I'm gonna change this color. It's gonna be this color. I'm not using this color, that because when we apply light theme, it's gonna change to this color, but I don't wanna do that. It's gonna be this color in any case. And I will say margin bottom 20. Let's use it. After login here. Okay. I will say title is gonna be best of Lama Dev. Like that. Let's change this color. As you can see, it looks awesome. So let's create Navbar right now. I'm gonna close everything here and I'm gonna open Navbar. So what we are gonna have, let's check here. As you can see, we have this search bar here and one button. We can actually copy and paste this button and we can create this search div. But before that, again, I'm gonna create a wrapper because I'm gonna give some padding. Let's create our container first. Container styled and div, and one more is gonna be wrapper. One more is gonna be search container, and inside we are gonna have input. Let's change here, and also I'm gonna add this button. Let's choose our button here. As you can see, it's gonna be the same. like that. Let's apply them here. I will say container. Inside we are gonna have our wrapper, and inside this wrapper, search container and our button. Let's actually check here what was inside. Okay, there is icon. I'm gonna paste and I'm gonna import this icon. Okay, it's here. Actually, let's use light mode so we can see better. And as you can see, we don't have any element inside our search bar. Let's create our input, and I'm gonna give placeholder. It's gonna be just search. And also we are gonna add here search icon, search outlined icon. Let's see right now. I'm gonna close sidebar. Okay, perfect. As you can see, they are vertical. To prevent this, for this wrapper, I'm gonna say display flags and align item center. Let's separate them actually. Okay, and for this container, again, it's gonna be sticky. Remember how we are using it. And top will be 0. And also I'm gonna change its background color, and it's gonna be our light color, like that. As you can see, it's white. And for this wrapper, I'm gonna give some padding. Actually, let's give here height, and its height will be 100%. Oops. And padding will be 0 pixel, 20 pixels. As you can see, there is a space here. By the way, why it's not white? It's gonna be BG lighter, of course. Okay, perfect. Here is lighter, here is darker. So what I'm gonna do is to move this button to end of the container. To do that, I'm gonna say justify content, flags end. As you can see, all items are here, but how I'm gonna move this search bar in the middle of the wrapper? To do that, we are gonna use absolute positioning. Of course, if you are using absolute, the parent should be position relative. And here I'm gonna say position absolute. Right now I can give any position. If I say left 50, as you can see, it gives space here and starts from 50. But I want to show this in the middle. To do that, I'm gonna say left 0, right 0, and if I say margin auto, it's gonna give the same space. Okay, why it's here? Let's check. Background color, let's say red. Okay. Since we applied position absolute, its width is 100%. To prevent this, let's say 50% or whatever you want. As you can see, it's here. Okay. Again, I'm gonna use display flags and I'm gonna separate those items. Let's come here, display flags, align item center, and justify content will be space between. So it's gonna separate these inputs and this icon. By the way, let's delete this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is to give a little bit padding and border for this item, this search item. I will say 5 pixels and I'm gonna give border. It's gonna be 1 pixel solid and this color, like that. Let's give border radius. It's too sharp right now. And it's gonna be 3 pixels. Okay, perfect. And for this input, I can delete this border, none, like that. But if I click here, you are gonna see that its background is still white. To prevent this, I'm gonna say background color is gonna be transparent. We are not gonna give any color. Perfect. By the way, there is a space here. Okay, That's because we have margin top here. I'm gonna delete it. And perfect. It looks really nice. So we finished our navbar also. Let's take care of this wrapper. But I'm not gonna create directly inside my app.js. That's because we are gonna have multiple pages. It's gonna be our home page, and when we click on, let me show you. Click on any of them, we are gonna go to video page. And this is where we should use React Router DOM. Let's delete here. And I'm gonna open my sidebar and I will create one more folder. And it's gonna be pages. And my first page will be home page. And second one will be video page. Let's create functions for video page and home page. And I'm gonna use React Router DOM and I will navigate my application. If you go to reactrouter.com, you're gonna see this documentation, quick start, and as you can see, we are gonna need those Router DOM components and we are gonna use them like that. Basically, we are gonna wrap our application. You are gonna understand better right now. I'm gonna come here and import those. And I'm gonna wrap my application. And let's see, after container, use browser router. And inside, I'm gonna write my routes. As you can see, we are gonna wrap again and we are gonna provide our paths. So I can do this here. I will say routes, and the first one will be our main path. I'm gonna close here and let's create a route here. And it's gonna be our index page. When we visit our index page, we are gonna call home component. As you can see, it's here. I'm gonna import this and one more. I'm gonna delete here and path will be video. And inside this, I'm gonna provide every single video. That's because each video will have different IDs. I should specify them. So I will say one more route and its path will be :ID. In this case, we are gonna call our video page here. Let me explain again. We have our main route here. When we visit index page, we are gonna call home page. Let me open here. As you can see, this is where we are showing our home page. But when I write here video and any video ID here, it really doesn't matter. We are gonna go to this page. Okay, let's create our container here. I will say const container styled, and I'm gonna change here. Okay, why it's not here? I said directly home. Of course, it should be a component like that. Okay, perfect. It's here. Right now, what I'm gonna do is to create video cards. To do that, I'm gonna open sidebar again, and inside components, I'm gonna say card.js. Card, and quickly here container, and I'm gonna change here, and I'm gonna call couple cards here like that. Okay, why it's not here? By the way, it's gonna be components card. I forgot div here. Okay, all those cards are here. By the way, guys, when you refresh your page, as you can see, it's gonna be dark mode again because we are using use state here. So what you can do, you can create here a use effect, and whenever you change your dark mode, you can write this state into your local storage. So what I'm gonna do is making this container display flags, but this time I'm gonna give flags wrap property. Let's come here. I'm gonna say display flags. I'm gonna separate them, justify content, space between, and I will say flags wrap. If you are watching my tutorials, you already know why we are doing this, but if you don't know, let me explain. As you can see, it's right now display flags and it contains all this screen. That's because they don't have any width. But if I give any width here, let's say 360. Oops, it's still horizontal. Flags wrap, of course. Mistake here. Flags wrap. And right now, as you can see, it's not horizontal anymore. It arranges lines according to their width. And it's really useful. And let's give some margin here. Inside cart. Actually, I'm gonna close everything here instead of this cart. Okay, I will say margin bottom. Okay, and also it's gonna be cursor pointer that we can click on them. And right now, let's see what we are gonna add. I'm gonna go to home page here. As you can see, we are gonna have an image. After that, we are gonna have details div here. Let's create this image. It's gonna be image like that. I will say width 100%. Remember, its parent is this. And height will be 202 pixels. I got this number from YouTube. And let's give background color and you can see better. Like that. And I'm gonna create here this image like this. Perfect. So if I give source, it's gonna look like this. Okay, awesome. Right now we can create our details. I'm gonna copy here. And it's gonna be details, and let's see what we are gonna have. I'm gonna open my app here. As you can see, firstly we are gonna separate them again. The first part will be this image and second part will be those texts. So basically I'm gonna say display flags. I'm gonna give some margin and I will say gap between this image and those texts will be 12 pixels. And after that, let's write it here. And inside this, I'm gonna create channel image. Like that. It's gonna be, of course, HTML image. And I'm gonna say 36, height 36, and it's gonna be a circle. So I will say 50% border radius. And let's give background again. And use it here. Channel image. Like this. By the way, for this wrapper, I can give some padding. I'm gonna open app. And as you can see, we don't have anything here. I'm gonna say padding, top and bottom, left and right. Like that. It looks much better. And right now, let's create other details. We are gonna have title, channel name, and this small text. I'm gonna close here. Let's say texts, title, channel name, and other info. It's gonna be H2, channel name, and it's gonna be title. Let's say H1, and it's gonna be info. Let's create them. It's gonna be texts. It's gonna be our container. Inside title, test video. After that, channel name, Lama Dev, and info. And I'm gonna copy paste. Let's give some style for them. For title, I'm gonna say font size 16. I'm gonna separate them, by the way. And font weight will be 500. And what about font color? Again, I'm gonna use my theme and color will be text. What about this one? Font size 14. Color will be text soft. And I'm gonna give some margin. Let's say 10 pixels. like that. Maybe 9. Okay, it's better. Wow, it's not lame. It's gonna be Lama Dev. And for this one, font size 14, and color will be text soft again. Like this. By the way, in the previous app, as you can see, I'm using different font family. Let's fix this. I'm gonna open Google Fonts, and in our app, as you can see, it uses OpenSense, but we are gonna use Roboto. Let's select all those styles. And I'm gonna copy here. Instead of this family, we are gonna use Roboto. And by the way, I'm not gonna use this. I used this in my previous project, I think. I'm gonna change it. And it's gonna be this font family. And right now, as you can see, it's exactly the same font family. By the way, I forgot this image. Where is our channel image? Okay, it's here. Source will be this URL. Okay, perfect. It looks pretty nice. So what I'm gonna do, when I click this button, we are gonna go to video page. So basically we are gonna use React Router DOM link. I'm gonna come here and I will say link, as you can see, from React Router DOM, and I'm gonna cover my container with this link, and I'm gonna write here my path. To do that, I will say to, and it's gonna be video, let's say test. Of course, in the next video, we are gonna make this dynamic, but for now, it can stay. And right now, since we are using link, it has changed its styles. To prevent this, I will say inner style here, and I'm gonna say text decoration. It's gonna be none. Basically, it's gonna delete this underline, and perfect. I'm clicking, as you can see, it's going to video. I can do the same thing for this logo. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna open menu. And for this logo, I'm gonna say link, and I'm gonna cover. Of course, I should import like that, and it's gonna be home page. But this time, as you can see, its color is different. That's because we are not using any specific color, and it's taking this color from parent, which is this thing. To prevent this, I'm gonna come here and say color inherit. As you can see, it's same color again. I'm clicking. Perfect, it works. So let's create our video page, and we are gonna use those cards again, but in different shape. Let's see what we are gonna have. We are gonna have a container here, and this container includes two parts. First one will be this content, and second one will be those recommendations. And inside this content, we are gonna create a wrapper, but before, let's do that. I'm gonna create a container, and first part, content, and second part. Let's make this horizontal, display flags, and I'm gonna give some gap between them, like that. And I'm gonna give flags width. So it's gonna be flags 5, and this one will be flags 2. Let's write them here. It's gonna be container, content part, let's say content, and recommendation. Let's see. Okay, perfect. And inside this content, I'm gonna create my video wrapper. Let's write it here. I'm gonna duplicate this video wrapper. And inside this wrapper, we are gonna add our video. And after that, I'm gonna create a title. Const title is gonna be h1. And after this title, as you can see, we are gonna have a div here, which includes those texts and those buttons. So let's say details. Inside these details, I will say info is gonna be a span. For those buttons, again, I'm gonna create a container and let's say buttons. And each individual button, let's write them. We are gonna have video wrapper, and inside this wrapper, I will add my YouTube video. Of course, in the next lesson, we are gonna upload our own video. We are not gonna use this YouTube, but for now, it can stay. And after this wrapper, I will say title, and let's say test video. And remember, inside this one, we have info, which includes views and date, and finally buttons. And inside this, different buttons. Let's see first. As you can see, it's here. So let's give some style for this. I will say font size 18, font weight will be 400 because we are using H1. I don't want to make it bold. And I'm gonna give some margin and margin bottom, like that. I'm gonna give text color. I'm gonna use my theme, like that. If I switch to light mode, as you can see, it's white. Okay, so what about this div? It's gonna be, of course, horizontal, display flags, align item center, and justify content space between. Like that. Let's give color for this. Info, I'm gonna use my theme again, but it's gonna be text soft. It's gonna be gray, like that. What about those buttons? Let's create here one more button and we can see better. Firstly, they are gonna be horizontal, and I will give gap, like that. And I'm gonna change color again. It's gonna be text. It will be white again, like that. So let's give some icon for those buttons. First icon will be like button. I'm gonna import. Okay, it's not here. I'm gonna import later. And I'm gonna write here its counter. And for this one, it's gonna be dislike button. And I will say dislike. As you know, YouTube deleted dislike counter, so we are not gonna show it. Of course, if you want to, you can write any number there. And this one will be share. And one more. It's gonna be save. I'm gonna import my icons here. I will just copy paste. And like that. As you can see, they are not centered. Let's come here. Display flags, align item center. Okay, perfect. Maybe some gap between them. Let's say 5. Okay, and cursor will be pointer. And after this, I'm gonna create here HR. After this, I will say const HR styled HR, and I will do exactly the same thing. Border 0.5 pixels, solid, and soft color. And of course, I'm gonna give some margin. Margin top and bottom will be 15 pixels, left and right will be 0. Let's use it after details here. Like that, it's here. It's not that much visible, but when we open dark mode, as you can see, it looks much better. By the way, Even if we are in the light mode, it still says light mode. Let's fix this. I'm gonna open menu and I'm gonna write here a condition. I will say if dark mode, it's gonna write here light. If it's not, it's gonna write here dark. As you can see, dark mode, light mode. And what about here? As you can see, it's gonna be a div here, and first part will be this image and this information. Second part will be this subscribe button. Let's come here, duplicate. It's gonna be, let's say, channel. I will say display flags, justify content, space between. And inside this channel, we are gonna have one more div and this button, const, let's say channel info, and button. I'm gonna say subscribe. Let's create them here. After this HR, I will say channel, inside this channel, channel info, and subscribe button. Like that. Of course, there is nothing here. Let's create our avatar and channel details, like its name and subscriber number. I'm gonna create one more div here. It's gonna be, let's say, image. One more div, and it's gonna be channel detail. Let me show you again. We have channel info div. It includes this avatar, and inside these details, I'm gonna create this channel name, channel counter, and description. Let's create them. Channel name, channel counter, and description. Let's say p tag, span, and it's gonna be span also. Okay, I'm gonna separate them. Let's put them here, and after that, we are gonna give our styles. I'm gonna come here, and it's gonna be our image. Source will be my avatar, and after that, channel detail. Inside, channel name, Lama Dev, let's say 200k subscribers, and description. I'm gonna use here lorem. So it's gonna generate this random sentence, and it's gonna be, of course, description. Let's see. Okay, let's make this div horizontal. Here, I will say display flags and gap between them. So what about this image? Width 50, height 50, and it's gonna be circle. So I will say 50%, and we have channel detail here. And as you realize, our channel name and channel counter in the same line. To separate them, I'm gonna use display flags again, but this time it's gonna be vertical. So I will say display flags, flags direction is gonna be column, and text color will be our theme text. Like that. What about this name? It's gonna be font weight 500, like that, but we are using same name here. I forgot changing. Okay, it's still name, it's gonna be counter. Okay, and for this counter, I'm gonna give some margin between this title and description. Margin top 5, margin bottom 20, and text color will be text soft. Okay, but it's too big. Let's say font size 12, and it's much better. And for this description, I can decrease this font size again, but this time it's gonna be 14. Like that. Let's check. Okay, perfect. And what about this button? Firstly, it's gonna be red. I'm gonna use this color. Font weight will be a little bit bolder, and text color will be white. It's not red. I said color is gonna be background color, of course. Okay, so let's delete this border and give some border radius. Border none, and border radius 3 pixels. Like that. But its height is too much. What I'm gonna do is to give here maximum content. Okay. Right now, if I give some padding and cursor pointer, we are gonna complete this button. Padding 10 pixels and 20 pixels and cursor pointer. Okay, perfect. Right now we are gonna add this comment section. To do that, I'm gonna create one more component. Let's come here and say comments, my function here, and I'm gonna create quickly container, and inside this container, as you can see, one div here, which includes our avatar and comment input. And after that, we are going to create each individual comments. To do that, I'm going to create one more component here. Quickly container, like that. Okay, I'm gonna close here and create new comment container here. New comment, and inside we are gonna have our avatar and input. Okay, let's write them here. New comment container, and inside our image and input. And here we can give placeholder, add a comment. And its source will be my avatar again. Let's see. Of course, we didn't call this component here. After this channel, I'm gonna give one more HR. And I'm gonna call comments. Like that. It's gonna be exactly the same avatar. So I can copy here and paste for this avatar. Like that. And I'm gonna center them. To do that, for the parent, it's gonna be display flex and align item center. And some gap here. Like this. And what about this input? Firstly, I don't want this border. I'm just gonna give for bottom. So I will say border none. And border bottom 1 pixel, solid and soft color. Of course, remember, it has a background color. By default, it's white. To prevent this, I'm gonna write here transparent, like that. And I'm gonna give some padding and delete this outline. Outline none, and padding will be 5 pixels. Okay, let's check here. Perfect, but its width is too short. Let's say 100%. Oops, not pixels. Okay, awesome. So right now we can create our comments. Let's come here and call some comments here. Like that. Okay, they are here. Let's open light mode again. And what we are gonna have? Again, two parts. One is this image, second one is those texts. Let's come here and say display flex, and I'm gonna give gap 10 pixels. But I wanna give some margin. They are too close each other, so I will say margin 30 pixels, 0 pixel. Like that. Okay. I'm gonna create again same avatar, so I can copy from here. And we are gonna have comment details. So I will say const details style div. Again, display flex, but it's gonna be vertical, so I will say flex direction column. And let's separate them. what we are gonna have inside these details. Let's check again. This title and this description. Let's say const title or username is gonna be a span, and inside this name also we are gonna have date, this date, and finally this text. Okay, let's apply them here. Avatar, after that details, and inside let's say name John Doe or Lama Dev, and inside we are gonna have date, let's say 1 day ago, and after that text. Again I'm gonna use lorem like that. Let's see. Okay, let's give our styles. For name I'm gonna say font size 13 pixels and font weight will be bolder. And for this date, font size will be a little bit smaller and font weight will be 400. And of course it's gonna be gray. Let's change it. I'm gonna use my theme again, and I'm gonna give some space between this date and this name. So I will say margin left 5 pixels. Okay, perfect. By the way, it's gonna be John, and for this text I'm just gonna say font size 14. Okay, let's check this dark mode. As you can see, it's still black here. That's because we didn't change our color here. I'm gonna say color text. In this case it's gonna be white. I know it looks strange, that because we are using same avatar, same name and description, but when we change them, when we make them dynamic, it's gonna look much better. So we finish this part. Let's take care about these recommendations. So what I'm gonna do is using same cards here, but I want to change their shapes. In this card they are vertical, this image and this div, but here they are gonna be horizontal. To do that we are gonna pass a type as a prop, and according to that type we are gonna change its shape. Let's close this, and where is recommendations? Here, and I'm gonna call card again. Let's import this. Okay, and I'm gonna give type. It's gonna be, let's say, small. I'm gonna duplicate this. As you can see, it looks strange, but we are gonna change it. Let's open up card again, and I'm gonna take my prop here. Type. But how I'm gonna use this type in styled components? We are gonna do exactly the same thing. We are gonna pass here our prop. Type will be type. And right now I'm able to use this type here inside container. First thing I want to do is to change its display property. I will come here and say display. I'm gonna choose my prop. I'm choosing it like that, props dot whatever its name. In this case it's type, and I'm gonna write my condition. If it's small, make it display flex. Let's see right now. As you can see, it's horizontal right now. Of course we are gonna change its size and it's gonna look better. If you remember, there is a margin here and it's 45 pixels. I'm gonna change it. Let's copy this. I will say if it's small, it's gonna be 10 pixels. If it's not, it's gonna be 45 pixels. As you can see, it's much better. Let's change this image size. To do that, I'm gonna come here and pass this type for this image also. And also I'm gonna pass here. That's because we are gonna change our div here. So we are able to use this right now. And Let's copy this again and write here our condition. I will say if it's small, it's gonna be 100 pixels. If it's not, it's gonna be 202. Like that. I'm gonna give a gap here. 10 pixels. Like that. Actually, this 100 is too small, I think. Okay, it's much better. Let's take care about this side. Firstly, I want to delete this avatar. We are not gonna use it. To do that, I'm gonna pass my prop again for this image. And I will say display props if props dot type equals small, it's gonna be none. We are not gonna see it anymore. Like that. But there is a space here. As you can see, there is margin top here. Let's write our condition again. I'm gonna choose this. And it's gonna be, if it's not small, 16 pixels. If it's small, it's gonna be 0, like that. Perfect. And one more thing here. As you can see, there's a huge space here that because our container is 360 pixels. If I say background color, as you can see, it ends here. So let's write here a condition again. I will say if it's not small, it's gonna be 360 pixels. Let's delete this. And this time our image is too big and this div is too small. What I want to do is to make them equal. To do that, remember what we are doing. If I give flex 1 for this one, flex 1 for this one, they are gonna be equal. So I will say flex 1 and flex 1. As you can see, it looks much better. Of course, if it's complicated for you, you can create one more card component. You can say just recommendation, but I recommend you to use in this way that because it's a good practice for converting components using a prop. So I'm gonna leave it like that. And it's pretty all, I think. Let's check here. Home page, video page, these buttons. By the way, we don't have here hover effect. I forgot showing this. Let's do that. I'm gonna open menu and where is our item here? I want to give here a hover effect. To do that, I'm gonna use hover like that, and inside I'm gonna give a background color. To do that, I will use again our theme. It's gonna be theme.soft. Let's try. As you can see, it's much better. If I turn back to light mode, it's gonna be like that. Okay, awesome. So let's create this login page. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and we can see better here. As you can see, we have a container again, and this is gonna be our wrapper, and inside this wrapper we are gonna add those items. I'm gonna open app.js, and here I'm gonna add one more root, and it's gonna be sign in, and we are gonna call login page. Let's create pages. It's gonna be sign in. I'm gonna create my function and quickly here container styled.div, and I'm gonna use it here. Of course, capital like that. Let's use it here. like this. And when I click this button and this button, I want to go to sign in page. To do that, I'm gonna go to menu here. And as you can see, we have a button here. I'm gonna use React Router DOM link. I'm gonna wrap this, and the path will be sign in. And as you can see, there is an underline here. Let's delete this. Style. Text decoration is gonna be none. I'm gonna do the same thing for Navbar. I'm gonna open Navbar here. I will come here and wrap my button. And I will import my link like that. Let's click. As you can see, it's here. So I'm gonna center this. Let's close everything and open up sign in again. And I will say display flags, align item center, justify content center. Of course, it's not centered, that because we don't have any height. What I can say height. I'm gonna use calculation here, and I will say 100 VH minus 56 pixels. As you can see, it's in the middle. Why I used 56? That because our navbar is here and its height is, let's check again. Okay, 56. So I'm gonna create here a wrapper. By the way, let's give a text color before this. It's gonna be black here and white here. I'm gonna duplicate this. It's gonna be wrapper, and again it's gonna be display flags, align item center, but this time I will say flags direction column. Let's check here. As you can see, they are vertical. That's why we are using column. Let's delete this, and I'm gonna use background color, and I will say BG lighter. Let's use it and see better. Of course, it's not visible. Let's give some padding. I will say 20 pixels and 50 pixels. Okay, it's much better. And I can give some border here. I'm gonna duplicate this, and it's gonna be soft. I will say border 1 pixel solid and this color. And for each item, I'm gonna give a gap. It's gonna be 10 pixels. And let's create our items. Let's see what we have. We have a title, subtitle, inputs, and button here. And after this wrapper, we are gonna create those links. I will say const title. It's gonna be h1 tag. One more h2. It's gonna be subtitle. I will say input, button, and I'm gonna create one more div here, and it's gonna include our links. Let's say div, and we are gonna see it later. I'm gonna separate them, and let's write them here. I will say sign in, one more to continue our website. It's gonna be subtitle, and after that we are gonna have input. Let's delete here, and I'm gonna give placeholder. It's gonna be username, one more, it's gonna be password. Of course, it's gonna be password type. Okay, and after that button, sign in, and I'm gonna create one more title. if we don't have any account, we are gonna ask for registration. So I will do the same thing here, but this time it's gonna be sign up. And I'm gonna create one more input here, and it's gonna be email. Let's see. Okay, they are here. And finally, in this div, we are gonna have two parts, language option and other links. It's not that important, but for better design, we can write, I will say English. And after that, I'm gonna add my links. I'll say links and each link here. Help, privacy, and terms. Let's create them also. Links and link. And I'm gonna make this span. Okay. As you can see, it's horizontal. Let's change this. It was display flags. I'm gonna make this flags direction column. Okay, perfect. For title, I will say font size 24 pixels. Okay, and for this one, I'm gonna decrease. Let's say 20, and font weight will be 300. Perfect. And for inputs, I'm gonna give some padding. I'm gonna delete this border. Let's say border none, but I'm gonna give border radius 3 pixels, padding 10 pixels, and of course I'm gonna delete this background color, otherwise it's gonna be white, like that. I think it's not a good idea to delete this border. Let's say 1 pixel, solid, and I'm gonna just change its color. It's gonna be soft. Let's see. Okay, perfect. And I can increase its width. It's too small. I will say 100%. Like that. And let's take care of this button. Again, border radius 3 pixels. Right now I can delete my border. And let's give padding 10 to 20 pixels. Like that. I can increase this size and give cursor pointer. I'm gonna say font weight 500 and cursor pointer. Okay, but let's change its color. That because it's gray in any case. I will say background color and soft color. And for text color, it's gonna be text soft. Like that. Let's see. Okay, it's much better. Okay, perfect. And for this one, let's make them horizontal. I'm gonna give some space between language and those links. It's gonna be 50 pixels. Like that. And let's give space between them. Margin left 30 pixels. And of course they are too big. I will say font size 10 pixels. And I will give color, and it's gonna be soft. Maybe margin here, and I think it's too small to see. I can change it. Let's say 12, and I will say margin top 10. Okay, I think it's better, and that's all. I think it looks pretty nice. Let's change this. Okay, awesome. Dark mode is better, I think. And we finished our design part. In the next video, don't forget, we are gonna create our backend, and don't forget to write which technology you want to see in the next tutorial. And that's all. I hope you liked it. If you learned something new today, please like the video. You can support Lama Dev using the link in the description below or by joining the channel. And don't forget to follow Lama Dev's social media accounts. I hope I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.